Hey, what's up, y'all? I just wanted to do a video today about the arcade 1-up machine that I modded last October. I've been getting a lot of use out of it, being at home a lot lately, and I've had some people ask what is on it and how I made it. So I just want to do a quick video and kind of discuss that and let everybody check it out. First off, I want to give a shout out to Arcade 1-up. They're doing an awesome job of putting all these classic arcade games out in accessible cabinets. And they really caught my attention when they started getting into the fighting game ones. They just announced a Marvel vs. Capcom one, which has online, and some of the other versus games, which is great. The artwork's beautiful. So I got a Street Fighter one, being one of my favorite franchises. So I love all the artwork and everything on there, and the classic panel, like the old Championship Edition that I used to play at Pizza Hut way back in the day. But basically, I was lucky. I got one of these arcade 1-up machines from Walmart on clearance for half price. So most of them generally retail around $300, give or take. Some of the ones like the Ninja Turtle that are 4-player are going to be more expensive, but this one retails for normally about $300, and I got it because it's a 6-button setup too, which is optimal for a lot of the fighting games and stuff, and just gives you a lot to work with here. Outside of that, I got other parts and stuff that I'll discuss that you have to kind of swap out for. But first, I figure I'll just kind of show what is on the machine and how it works. Everything runs off of a Raspberry Pi 3, which is inside of there. I know the 4 just came out as well, which is cool. But again, I got a good deal on this. I just had to do some modifications on it, which I'll talk about. So I guess grab it's here. And kind of give you guys a look at this. And it's just in a track mode now, so it's going to play random stuff there. So the buttons and the joysticks were modded. They were replaced. The stock ones honestly weren't the best. They actually had the joystick on this side break after a couple days. So they're really, not the best. These were available on Amazon. Everything I learned and did was from ETA Prime, so I want to give a shout out to him. That's where I learned pretty much everything on how to do this and where to get the parts from. But it's really cool having them glow, and you can arrange them in whatever color pattern you want. There's a variety of them, and they have these colors as well. So these are the ones that I chose. Because I like the look, and they actually work for another game called Bishy Bashy or something like that. So, so if I hit this here, we'll go into basically the main menu. I can go back out, and it's kind of broken down into several sections, and the RetroPie one would just be settings. And this whole interface was a loaded package by Wolfanos that I got offline. It was about a 32 gig file that I flashed on here, and it had, everything on here, and this interface is awesome. I'll do the boot movie as well, so you can kind of see that. It's a really cool one. But yeah, it's around 2,000 games. Now some of them, don't work, or like a lot of the 3D ones don't really work well, or they're just not that great, like some of the really old games. But for I guess history's sake, it's cool to have those preserved. So I'll just jump in I guess like into favorites, and it's cool. It gives you like a preview window, information about the game and everything like that. So these are some of the favorites that I have in here, a lot of them that I grew up playing as well. And then you notice here you get the descriptions and everything about them. I've discovered a lot of really amazing games too that I've never seen, and pretty savvy on the MAMEs and random games and stuff like that. But there's a few in here that I really thought were amazing. I'm trying to see if I can remember one. They're here. So yeah, just taking a look at some of the big ones. Oh, I know how. It has a last played section, so I'll Samurai Showdown. But yeah, and then my favorite here, beautiful. And then yeah, this is the one that uses the buttons and the color sequence like this is why I chose to do it like that. It's a really amazing game. It's kind of like a WarioWare-ish almost. Anyway, I can go into last played here and kind of see what was last played. But actually, I don't feel like it's saving it right because this is definitely not. We played some stuff the other night, so it just might not have it in the settings to save what I actually played last. But anyway, lots of good stuff in here. I mean, there are some nights where I'll just scroll through and, you know, look at everything and just explore, you know. Same way if you ever just sit there on Netflix for 30 minutes or an hour trying to decide what to watch. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the interface. So one thing I guess I should mention too on installing the buttons here, and you can see unfortunately this is kind of scratched off, but that's not all my doing too. Some of it was a child. But I believe you can get graphics for these and other things if I wanted to update or replace them. I don't mind the kind of like paint rub there. It's arcade accurate if you kind of grew up and kind of know about that. But here, some of the buttons, I did have to drill this hole in this hole because Raspberry Pi requires you to have an options button, essentially. So this is my options or coin button, and this is, you know, start player 1, start player 2, and then you have, you know, all these, you know, similar to what they would be. You know, this is based off a Street Fighter cabinet. And then the arcade one-ups have the on-off and volume button. These are disconnected for this build, so they don't serve any function here. But on the normal one, you would have the on-off here, and then you have the volume level there. And the speaker, the stock speaker on it, I will say is pretty good. So the way I have this set up is essentially just, I just plug it up and then unplug it when I'm done. So let's see if I can get into the back and show you what's going on there. So it's just a couple screws. Sorry, it's a little dark. In the back, just that screw on the top, so you can remove it pretty easily. And then just give me a moment to get some light in here so you can see a little better. There we go. And it's been a minute since I've been in here. All right. Cool. So some of it's fallen a little bit, so it's not quite as flush. Like I had this stuck here, and this stuck here with some double-sided tape. I think the heat probably releases it, so I'm sure there's a better solution. Actually, I think, now I'm thinking about it, like some Velcro or something might be the way to go. But this is the back of it. Sorry, there's a glare there. That's the back of the monitor. This is the video cable. This is the video board that I updated it with. And the reason you do that is that it allows it to send an HDMI out through the video board. And then you basically take the wiring from the old one, you take it out and you remove it, so you don't even use it. And this was purchased off of Amazon, so you just rewire the new one in. And the new one, like I said, gives you the option of the HDMI, as well as your power. And then you have some additional plugins here as well. If you wanted to do like a monitor maybe for like a computer, or whatever you want to use that for. These are some like kind of kill switches. I don't use those. So the HDMI goes into the Raspberry Pi, which I just have mounted, here on the side, just with some more double-sided tape. So the HDMI is here. These two USBs are for the controllers. I have the USB for the power, and then and then I have like an audio cable too. The audio cable runs to a sound amp, which is another purchase too. You have to purchase a sound amp, obviously the Raspberry Pi, a case for the Raspberry Pi, and this keeps it from overheating as well. And essentially, the speaker, let's see how good I can make the camera work here. The speaker is under here, and you just take the wire and splice it and then run it into the amp. And then the amp is, actually I have it running with the audio cable. You can do the sound from the Raspberry Pi to the board, but I just have it running through this auxiliary cable here, and then it goes, splits it into the back with the stereo speakers. But there's several ways you can do that, and like I said, the HDMI could be one of them as well. And then, gosh, these are falling too, because these are supposed to be like stuck in here. So these are the control switches. If I go in here again, you can see the lights. And let me kill the flash. There we go. That's way cooler looking. So you can see the LED buttons glow underneath, and then they run to their control switches here. So this is what tells, you know, that this, you know, should be like the jab button should go here, you know, so they all have to line up in the right order. And then that USB again goes down into the Raspberry Pi there. My buddy Jason gave me another speaker, so it kind of works as like a mid, and I just spliced the wire to hook up some additional sound on the back. But really, the stock speaker in the arcade one up is pretty impressive. It's got some good lows on it. I was really impressed with it. Just on its own, it's going to get a pretty good amount of sound. So these are just random power cords from the board, from the amp, from the Raspberry Pi. Actually, the Raspberry Pi is, yeah, this is the USB for that right here. And it just goes into a typical brick like that. And then everything, yeah, just runs in this power strip. And then I took the power strip and just drilled a hole in the back. I can actually leave it plugged in, and then I was reaching around the back and just flipping the switch on here, and I feel that was a pretty effective method, but then I just kind of got tired of that and just unplug it from there. So again, real quick, you have the new board that again allows it to have HDMI to hook to the Raspberry Pi. And then the Raspberry Pi basically has the sound out to the amp, which is connected to the speaker. You have all your controllers, joysticks plugged in here. And what's actually cool about the Raspberry Pi is it's got an Ethernet cable, it's got Wi-Fi capabilities, it's got 2 additional slots back there. So in theory, if you had one just to use for fun, oh, there goes the attractor. Okay, as I was saying, in theory, you could have 4 controllers hooked up. So I could put, like, I don't know, a PlayStation controller or USB, or any computer one that plugs up, or arcade stick, for example. And so if you had a 4-player, maybe beat 'em up on here, you could actually have 4 players. But, you know, it's for the sake of it just being an arcade machine. It's pretty much just 2 of these guys right here. So, yeah, I hope that kind of gives everybody a general idea of what's going on there. And then I guess I'll just see if I can put this back on and film at the same time. Okay, so that just closes up on the back panel, and I'll screw it there and there. I thought about just putting some magnets in there too, so I can just pop it on and off, but I don't really need to go into the back that much. But like I was saying, if I do this, and I can always reach in and just turn it off and on that way. But it's just way easier to not have to worry about that. Okay, so now I'm just gonna plug it up and just go through the boot. So the boot's about a minute, almost exactly. That's not the default one. That one is loaded on this Wolfanos kit. There's several available, just like the same way this is kind of a custom front end here. It's kind of a comic book style, I believe is what it's called. There's several options out there, but the nice thing about the package file here is everything was preloaded and mostly pre-sorted. I was able to modify stuff, and I could do a whole other video, on the modifications and just the interface and a deeper dive. But I just wanted to actually jump in and just kind of boot up a game and just see what that looks like. So I think the collections, yeah, go Konami. We'll get an old beat 'em up. Let's do The Simpsons because that's my favorite show of all time. And it's nice because this interface has a 2-player build. So if you know, The Simpsons and like Ninja Turtles and stuff are 4-player, and the characters are determined by which set of joysticks you select, so you're limited. So if you were to pick like the arcade one, it would just default to 1 and 2, which I don't know, I think it's Marge and Homer. On the Ninja Turtles, it would be Leonardo and Michelangelo. But these have 2-player builds, which are really cool. And the only difference is just the character select, and everything else is the same. And so this one is the add coin button. So you get that awesome sound. Like back in the day when you're playing, you're like, oh my god, I have money. So again, this build allows you to select your player.
Homer!
Do Homer. I just want to see Maggie grab it. Yeah, that's it. Maggie! I'm trying to film and play right now. Yeah, so you get the idea. And there's all kinds of hotkeys. So if I actually just hit these two together, it'll take me back out to the menu, and I can pick something else. I think that's the Turtles in Time. One of them is a 2-player. That is not it. I'm hoping it's this one. Yeah, okay, cool. I honestly just want to see the opening song.
Pizza power! Electric shell! Electric shell!
This is April on the recording.
The cranks robot sound is so good.
Hey, Crank! Bring that statue back, you bloated beanbag!
Yeah, man. Oh, and again, it's a little tricky playing one-handed. Try to do my special. I guess those aren't the buttons. So, but you can refigure all the buttons and stuff too for every game, or reconfigure, configure, whatever, as well. to make them to your liking, because some of them are set like how they would make sense in the arcade, but sometimes you gotta reset them elsewhere. Man, what do we have? There's a ton of really awesome Neo Geo stuff in here as well. Even stuff like 2020 Baseball I used to play. All the Art of Fighting, Samurai Showdown, Metal Slug, Fatal Fury, Garu, just fantastic. A lot of other stuff. I love King of the Monsters. That's another one of my favorites. Samurai Showdown. But anyway, yeah. Let's see, Super Dodgeball. There's so much good stuff. These Neo Geo games are a ton of fun. You know, a lot of the ones that were on the Multicade and everything like that. There's another good obscure one. But yeah, anyway, so just kind of wanted to show that off and give you an idea of what the actual screen time kind of looks like there. There's all your options. And yeah, like several of Street Fighters in here. And then as you get into like CPS2, you'll get alphas and oh my gosh, Gem Fighter. Yeah, like Third Strike. So yeah, again, really awesome, really cool. I think I got everything here for about $300, but without getting that on clearance, it would probably be closer to like $450. But if you can find a good deal on Arcade 1-Up, or you know, find a good deal on arcade and build a full size one, that would be really cool. These Arcade 1-Ups are 1/3 scale, so they're fine if you play seated. They're a little tight if you're playing with a couple people sometimes, and you can get risers to stand. But anyways, hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for checking it out, and go play some video games.